Good morning. Welcome to Solidcast number 43. This production of Solidcast is brought to you courtesy of Jocko Willink Productions and his technical staff with Kerry Helton today. My name is John Stryker-Meyer. I'll be your host today. And we are joined today by a good friend of mine and an aviator, so we get the aviator side of the story from the Secret War through our Solidcast. Rick Freeman, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
And Rick, you served with the 101st Airborne later in the Vietnam War.
Correct.
And talked about, one of the reasons why we wanted you here is to talk about the change of tactics and some of the historic missions that you served with, particularly later on. We'll get into it. But first, let's start with where you began, where you grew up, and then how you decided to join the Army and become an aviator flying Cobra gunships for SOG protection.
I grew up in South Florida. My dad was stationed there in World War II at Royal Cox Field at Miami International. And he stayed in the reserves. And he was in a transport squadron. They flying C-46s back then. But he was flight engineer or flight mechanic in those days. And so I've been around the Air Force growing up in that kind of an environment, airplanes, my whole life.
Yeah.
That's what I know. And so 1960, they moved the squadron from Miami International down to Homestead Air Force Base, south of there. So we moved down to that part of the county. And Homestead originally was a bomber base. They had B-52s there. And then after the Cuban Missile Crisis, they decided they didn't need to have bombers that close to Cuba. So the bombers went away and F-100s rolled in, 31st Fighter Wing. And they had F-100Cs, and they went to Ds, and then became Phantoms. So it was a Phantom base for a long, long time. And his squadron was there on the field. I joined Civil Air Patrol so I could still be a little bit involved. It's still kind of a patriotic environment and that side of thing. The war was kind of cranking up. I graduated from high school in 65. So guys were going in. I had friends that went in right away, and you're kind of keeping track of them. And I went to college for 2 years. Was taking ROTC at the University of Miami. And I got my second notice for a draft physical. Well, in 1967, if you could fog a mirror, LBJ wanted you in a uniform. You know what I mean? So I saw
that. If you could fog a mirror?
Yeah, if you could breathe. I mean, there were the standards kind of low. But anyway, I had a friend that joined the Marine Corps right out of high school. And he got killed in April 1967, Hill 881 southwest of Quezon. And that was kind of a turning moment for me. And my second draft physical was coming up, and it's kind of like, if you get drafted, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I've got other friends that were flying helos at the time, had already gone through the program. So I went down and took the test and qualified for that. I already had my licenses. I already had a commercial license.
For fixed wing?
Fixed wing, yeah. So I had all of that already done.
So you didn't flunk out of college like I did. You just said 2 years you're bored and your friend dies, and you said...
I didn't have a couple of combat tours behind me to argue with the professors.
Yeah.
I did later when I come back.
Yeah.
I had a hard time like you did.
Yeah.
And it's hard to cooperate and graduate, but because you've got some opinions.
Indeed.
So anyway, I joined the Army, went to Fort Polk on June 1st, 1967.
Ooh.
June, July, and August in the lovely South. Oh. And got through that, did very well, got promoted to E2 out of basic training. So,
really?
Yeah.
That's saying something.
I'd been in ROTC. I already knew a lot of this stuff, and so I didn't have a lot of memorization to do. But those of us that had qualified to go to pilot training, if you joined the Army to be a helicopter pilot, you had to go to basic training at Fort Polk. Or at least those were the rules then.
Yeah.
Some guys joined at other places and joined the program while they were in basic. So when basic graduation was over, they put us on a bus and they bussed us over to Fort Walters, which is just west of here in Mineral Wells. And basic training started all over again. Now you get off the bus and you're screaming and yelling and line up and do all this crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So, and it's just kind of an OCS environment, I mean, they were flying sergeants in World War II. They called us warrant officers in Vietnam. Same thing.
Yeah.
We weren't commissioned, so at that time.
Sure.
So program started, and they gave us 2 weeks leave from there. We came back in late August to start the program, and went through that process there, finished right at Christmas for that phase of it, then went to Rucker and for the rest of the phase, and ended up...
What kind of training did that involve? That's still like your basic Army stuff in the aviation, or what was that, those first few months before you went to Rucker? What was that like?
Well, Walters and Rucker were the same. We did ground school half a day, and we flew half a day.
Oh.
So you go to school in the mornings, fly in the afternoon, or you fly in the mornings, you go to school in the afternoon. And then at night, it's study hall. So out of my platoon, there were maybe 60% prior service, guys that were E-somethings that wanted to be helicopter pilots, and they were there. A lot of SF guys, surprisingly.
Yeah.
We had a first sergeant from B-52 there. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Dick Delaney. He was awesome.
Yeah.
But since I already had all my licenses and I knew how to read all these charts and all this stuff, I spent that whole time tutoring at night. I just go from room to room to room to room and explain things until I got up to speed, you know.
Yeah.
And then once I got up to speed, you don't have to do that anymore. And it made life a lot easier. There was, like I say, maybe 40% of us that were direct entry candidates. So I already knew how to fly, just learned how to fly a helicopter. So that wasn't that big of a deal. I was the first one to solo in my class.
Were you the first one to hover?
Yeah, we had a Mexican. We called it Hoover. He learned to Hoover. And we laughed about that.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. And so anyway, we got through that whole program, finished all of that. And then I went to Rucker. Some guys went to Fort Stewart in Savannah, but I went to Rucker and went through the program there.
How long was that at the time?
About 4 months, I guess.
Sure.
January, February, March, April. Maybe a little bit. I got there maybe in February. A little bit of delay over Christmas.
Right. So February 68.
So, yeah, I ended up the end of May, 1st of June is when we graduated. And they had, the program is set up just to be a basic helicopter pilot, be a slick driver. They had a 2-week gun program, and I volunteered for that and was able to pick it up. So I learned to fly, the reason B model gunships, but you learned all the systems. So all the weapon systems that were on the helicopters at the time. So 1 week was nothing but low-level navigation, which is low. I mean...
Treetop.
Don't break the chin bubble.
Right.
And then the other week was all on the range. So shooting everything they had in the inventory at the time, which was really, really nice. So, and the Cobras were just coming out, so they didn't have any there.
In 68?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They were testing them in 66, and there were 67 models that were on the street, and but there weren't any at Rucker. And Cobra Hall then ended up at Fort Stewart. That's where they did all the transition for that. So guys come out of class, they took one guy out of our whole class to go to Cobra school. And a couple of guys wanted to fly Chinooks, you know, and stuff. Okay, fine, big heavy things. And so what today?
And don't forget ugly.
Well, yeah. But I didn't want to do that, so
yeah.
I wanted to fly gunships if I could get into a gunship platoon in an assault company, which had 2 lift companies and a weapons company. So
aerial artillery, right?
Yeah, or weapons.
Yeah.
Platoon. They had 2 slick platoons and a gun platoon in a company. And so they sent us to Fort Campbell. Nixon at the time, or LBJ, whoever, was wanting to start another division, 6th Division. So I was in 8th Squadron, 15th Cavalry, 6th Infantry Division is what I was assigned to at Fort Campbell.
Yeah.
And we were there about 3 weeks, nothing to do, you know, just FaceTime in the morning and FaceTime in the afternoon, you know, just show up in uniform. And one of the heavies come in and said, look, they're changing the whole program. What they're going to do is create another 1st Cav Division with 101st Division, air mobile. So if you want to be a slick driver, you're going to Fort Carson. If you want to be in the Cav, 2nd, 17th Cav, like their 1st and 9th Cav, you're going to Fort Hood. If you want to be an ARA, you're going to Fort Bragg. Well, I knew that ARA was nothing but guns. It was a gun battalion, and that was an experiment with the 1st Cav. They were re-experimenting with a 101st, because at that time the biggest was they had gun companies. 235th, 238th, those kind of guys. They were gun companies.
Mm-hmm.
But the 1st Cav had a gun battalion, 3 companies. It actually was artillery. They called them batteries. So I knew that if I did that, I was going to get to fly something that had forward-firing ordnance on it, and that's what I wanted to do.
Sure.
So I went to Bragg. But I sent you a text. I had an uncle that he went to 77th Group in like 52 or 3 or something when he come back from Korea.
Yeah.
SF was getting started. And he lived right there in Spring Lake. So I was comfortable.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
Yeah.
So
indeed.
we went to Bragg, checked in, and got assigned to A Company, 82nd Aviation Battalion, and started flying with them, flying slicks, doing pay jumps. Go to Salerno, 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Pay jump for a battalion. You leave at 11 or 12. The guys that have maybe 350 parachutes, we'd burn them all. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You give the riggers something to do.
Yeah.
And so, and then go back to Simmons, go to lunch, that kind of thing. So
Certainly.
it was a lot of fun. So as people would start checking in and the unit started to grow, and we finally got a commander, then we started doing our own education, if you will, trying to teach us how to be gun pilots. Period.
Yeah.
So the guy we got is a guy named Ed Miller. He just passed away this last, maybe a year ago. Anyway, he had a tour with the 1st Cav, ARA, Aerial Rocket Artillery. And so he was able to train us. We got brand new Charlie models out of the overhaul facility in Corpus Christi. We'd have to go down and get them and bring them to Bragg. And taught us to fly that helicopter. It flew different than the B models because it has big fat blades on it like a Cobra.
Is that right? That big of a difference, huh?
Yeah, Charlies don't fly the same.
Big blades and more power?
No, same L11 engine, but it flew different. It just had some different characteristics.
Is that good or bad?
For us, it was good, I think. The B battery joined with us too, and A battery and headquarters battery formed at Sill, but B and C battery were at Bragg, and they had B models, we had Charlie models. We had a little better speed capability, a little better. People would argue that, I guess.
Were they the same, having a hard time taking off with a full load?
Oh, yeah.
I remember sometimes with the B models, the door gunners had to get out and run alongside the helicopter so it could get off the ground.
Yeah, at least to get it started.
Right.
Yeah, but I've done that in the Cobra, same way, and you can't get out.
No.
But I mean,
yeah, you can't get out.
Well, I was working a mission out of Fubai, and we had to go to Anwa to get gas, and we were going southwest from there, down toward getting into CCC's northern AO, somewhere down that way. And I've got a full load of ordnance and a full load of gas, and I don't know how much I weighed, but it wasn't what the Army specs said. I was way over that. And it took me, I did that twice. The last time I did it, it took me 1,500 feet of ground roll to get through translational lift.
1,500 feet, huh?
A slide, yeah.
Yeah.
And some nice young Marine parked his M48 tank right on the end of the runway, and I had to miss that dude. And not by much.
Oh, my God. No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that was what actually my very last mission was one of those. I was supposed to have gone home yesterday, and I'd spent the night at Quang Tri, and they had something going on at Fubai, and we went down to Fubai and did this thing. And
so to get back to Bragg,
anyway,
you finish up your training.
We're training
with the C models,
and Ed Miller decided. He said, "You probably got 200 hours going through pilot training, 250, something like that." He said, "I want to double that." So he flew us a lot, which was good. And so we brought some instructors up from Rucker that had time in the Charlie model, and we all got to go out and fly the Charlie model. Heavy. We took jerry cans, filled them with sand, put them in the back to have the weight.
Sure.
And to simulate that kind of a load, and then go fly. And so sometimes we worked out of fire bases, just because that's where we would be stationed. So you had to learn how to land in small spaces and get out of small spaces if you can.
Sure.
And then he built a range on the artillery range there at Bragg, and so we could actually go shoot and then learn to shoot and be better at what we were there to do. So
Wow.
it worked out really well. So in January of '69, we flew all the helicopters out to Stockton, California. So they could
cross country.
Yeah, took us a week. and put them on a boat to go to Vietnam, and then we airlined back to Bragg and had leave, and then we all met up at Pope and got on C-141 and went to Da Nang.
Yeah, Pope Air Force Base outside Fort Bragg,
Right.
North Carolina.
Yeah, that's where we left. We left out of there in a 141.
No kidding.
104 troop seats, 104 of us. 29 hours. It was not comfortable. We stopped in Alaska and we stopped in Japan, but anyway, it was brutal.
Yeah, that's That's still better than a boat.
Yes, I think. I don't know. I got a lot of time on a boat now, so I kind of partial to boats. But anyway, it's the way it works.
Yeah, sure.
We got to Da Nang March 19th, and it was really funny. They had like cattle pens set up for boarding area, and so we're all in these like cattle pen areas just so we don't wander off and whatever. And the C-130s, they had these old A models that they run up and down the country, and they would come in and they would just kind of angle park like you would on the street to get gas, and they could back up and go on it. So Major Miller went over and talked to one of these guys. He ended up some lieutenant colonel, real chunky sort of a guy, and told him where we wanted to go. And of course, he's all into theatrics. It was so funny. He's chewing on a cigar and he throws it down. He says, "Son of a bitch, I hate going to get my ass shot off every time I go. Are you sure that's where you want to go?" That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just kind of role playing. And get us kind of excited because we don't know where we're going. Or anything.
Oh, yeah.
So the C-130 was all pallets. There's no seats. So they rigged some cargo straps across the floor. And we just sat on the floor and hang on to the straps.
Right.
And he says, "No, don't get your finger down in there because these pallets move. It'll cut your finger off,
Yeah.
Kind of thing. It's like, I mean, a smart person wouldn't do that, but, it's a small part of the brief. And so he says, we go up there. He says, "I'm going to land and go to the end of the runway and turn around, and we're going to have the tailgate down." He says, "If you don't get off before I push the power up to leave," he says, "you're coming back to Da Nang with me." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, it's all theatrics.
Sure.
It was funny. So we landed and walked off the back of the airplane, and our battery area was just right there. So we just walked over there, and he started assigning hooches, and he kind of had a layout where we wanted to go.
This is Fubai, you said?
Camp Evans.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Further north.
Yeah.
Wow.
3rd Brigade 101 was at Evans.
Okay.
So Charlie Battery, that's where we were.
Sure.
So A Battery was 1st Brigade, 2nd Battery, B Battery, 2nd Brigade. We were 3rd Brigade.
And you had a fuel dump and everything there.
Had everything, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 3 infantry battalions and artillery, signal, engineers. Had everything there.
No kidding.
Yeah. And there were 2 CB battalions there still, construction battalions with the Navy. So it was a pretty big place. So we got set up. And we had a bit, first 2 or 3 weeks we're filling sandbags to come up to the screen line on the hooches, and just trying to make the place a little more
Yeah, well, you say
defendable.
streamline. You want the sandbags to be high enough so when you're sleeping at night, it's just incoming.
Right.
The sandbags will slow down the shrapnel as
Right.
opposed to coming through the plywood.
Well, it's plywood halfway, and then it's screens. We come up to the screen line. That's
Okay,
where
right.
We
Yeah,
built
exactly.
up sandbags and screen line.
Yeah.
And then they had some culverts that they gave us, and we had to get sandbags and cover the culverts, and that was our bunker, if you
Yeah.
go to the bunker or whatever. So we just had to make the place livable and defendable at that point. So that's what we spent most of the time doing till our helicopters came in. They came in a Trang, and they had to put them together and test fly them, and then
Somebody did that for you, huh?
maintenance guys would go down and get them and bring them up. And then as we got them, then they would put the ordinary rocket pods on them there because they came over with us in Connexes. So they put the rocket pods on them and then get everything hooked up. And once they're blessed by maintenance, then we could start flying, go shoot and do practice missions. And so the XO, or the key at CO at that time, Ed Miller, would go find a free fire zone. And then we start doing practice missions. So just like we had 9 lines for TAC Air and 9 lines for medevac, we were doing the TAC Air 9 lines.
When you say 9 line, what does that mean?
Well, when you call for, back then we had 2 9 lines, and it was who you are, where you were at, what you need. I mean, just there was an order of information that needed to be put out.
Okay.
So he would go out into this free fire zone, call us on the radio, fire mission, so we'd go out there and he would say, here's the infantry's here, the bad guys are here. So to practice how to set up direct run-in lines so you're not shooting at good guys and that kind of thing.
Sure.
And in being able to shoot on target. So he'd mark the target with a phosphorus rocket, and then we would shoot in the way that he had trained us to do. And this was just to get us comfortable in the area because the DA was really density altitude because of the heat and humidity.
Right.
Was high. The helicopters didn't fly quite as well. And then that we knew how to respond and that we could respond in kind and we knew how to shoot. So when we showed up on station, we're artillery. Our only job is close air support. That's all we do. I don't escort anybody. I don't recon anybody. All I do is close air support. So
that's why we loved you guys.
If I'm going somewhere, it's because somebody is in a firefight. There's
Sure.
a tick, right? There's troops in contact. So
Yeah.
I know I'm going to get shot at when I go there. That's why I'm going there, is to help whoever's on the ground break contact or whatever they're going to do. And so you have to be able to employ your weapons in a manner that's going to help the good guys, right? You don't want to in a kind of
friendly fire.
well, yeah. I was looking for the word for it, but anyway,
There's a better word, but
fratricide,
good enough.
kind of thing,
Yeah.
So that's what he taught us to do, and we practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced.
And so what would the general tactic be? So, for example, if you have a team or somebody on the ground and they pop a smoke, then what would your tactics be? Would you have 2 or 4 gunships?
Usually 2, yeah.
2.
Okay, so I'm really not a smoke guy. First of all, that lets everybody know where you are.
Right.
I don't want them to know that. So if I'm working with you guys and you're an
So
elephant,
again, we're talking about different levels
right.
of preparation.
If we're in the jungle and I'm working with a 101, second 506, first
Right.
506, something like that, what I tell them to do is load a flare round in an M79 and shoot it straight up. It ain't going to get out of the jungle. But it's going to tell me where they are directly because smoke will drift. You know that.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
So if I got a phosphorus flare going off, I know exactly where you are. Now tell me what the problem is.
Yeah.
Now the next problem you got to think about shooting rockets in the jungle is they ricochet.
Oh, yeah.
So you got to be careful on your angles because you don't want them coming back on the good guys.
Right.
I worked the second 506 after Ripcord. A guy named Charlie Hawkins, not kin to the Charlie Hawkins that was up at MLT2, but same name. But he was company commander of A Company, second 506. And they walked off Ripcord.
Now, for our listening audience, Ripcord was?
It was a fire base. It was the last major offensive by the U.S. in Vietnam. It was the summer of 70. 3rd Brigade 101, General Harrison, he's colonel then at the time, brigade commander, ran that whole operation. And it got to be really, really ugly. Hell on a Hilltop is the book that he wrote. But there were 4 hilltops around there. They put 155 artillery pieces on one of them. And they got overrun. They really got smoked. So they pulled the cannons out, and Charlie Hawkins walked A Company off the hill. The other companies, they were the defense at that time. So rather than lift them out, they just walked off. And so I would call him almost every day and talk to him if I was in the AO if one of our platoons was covering SOG or SOG was cold, there wasn't anything going on.
So again, this is March of 70?
Probably June, July.
So, okay.
So somewhere in there. The point is he was getting hit with a sniper. A sniper was bothering him. And I called him on the radio and said, Charlie, how you doing? He said, well, I got a sniper bothering me. I said, piece of cake, I can fix sniper. Where are you?
Yeah.
Shoot a flare. So I got the flare, and he says, he's southeast of me somewhere. I said, okay, I can fix that. I got flechettes.
Right.
So you get right in the top of the trees at about 60 knots, and I just start shooting flechettes. A little bit of an angle, maybe 10-degree nose down angle, and out in front of him. And he says, there he goes, you got him. Fell out of the tree. And so I said, okay, anything else? And he said, no, we're fine. I'll see you tomorrow. I was like, okay.
No kidding.
Yeah. So, but it's just knowing how to do that and having the ordnance to do that.
Yeah, so somewhere during that period of time, when did you get introduced to SOG?
April 69. We got our Charlie models in March.
Right.
We immediately started sending crews to Vung Tau to get qualified to Cobra because we knew we were going to get Cobras. They gave us Charlie models because they didn't have enough Cobras.
Sure.
So as they were building Cobras, they sent them in country, and we knew we were going to get them, so we started transitions right away. So by the middle of April, we probably had 3 Cobras. And so as soon as we got Cobras, we started working MLT2.
What was that like, going from a C model to a Cobra on a very personal level? When did you finally get your first stick time?
Well, in April. I never went to school till way, way, way late. Ed Miller and I just didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things. And so he actually rotated before I even went to school. But I spent all my
school for
the back
Cobra.
seat in a Cobra. I sat in the front seat. I was
Right.
a front seat guy.
For our audience, the front seat guy is the gunner. The
Yeah.
pilot's in the back.
Right. I do have flight controls, and I can fly.
Yeah, if you shot, you can save yourself.
And you do it just to play with it in practice. But I've got the turret.
Right.
Okay. And so when it comes to SOG teams, if you're in the elephant grass and you've got bad guys, and I remember working with Dick McNabb. I worked so much with Dick McNabb. I worked with him, and his point man stopped. And I'm listening to the debrief, and he asked him, he says, you're whispering, it's like, what's going on? He says, 2 Americans, black guy, white guy. And he says, how do you know? He said, I smell them. And he said, really? He says, how far? 1 meter. They're in the elephant grass. And Dick's like, bullshit. So he lays down, takes his car, rolls the elephant grass back. And there's 2 guys there looking at him. Game's on, right? I mean, he ripped them, and then they're running.
No kidding.
So, and I'm watching all of this because I'm out of 50 cal range, but I'm out there watching all of this. And you just watching them run, they don't have time to talk. I can help you if you got time to talk, but I know you don't. So when you get time, let me know what's going on. Again, I don't want smoke because that tells everybody where you are.
Sure.
Hit me with a mirror.
Yeah.
Shiny. Give me a shiny. Give me a distance and an azimuth, and I'll fix it. So, and in the elephant grass, with the minigun, I can start shooting really, really, really close to you.
Absolutely.
You to me. Okay?
Sure.
If I'm the bad guy, I'm taking me out from you. And
Yeah.
you're right there with a mirror.
And
I've done
you're
this.
making a gun run at what speed?
Probably about 80 knots we're starting, 80 to 90, somewhere in
And
there.
how many miles per hour is a knot?
100 knots is 115 miles an hour.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm doing 85
Yeah.
or so. But it's okay because I've got angle, right? I don't really care. The speed doesn't bother me. The angles bother me because bullets go stupid on angles. So I can start shooting at that range. And if I can see them, then it's even better because it's
Sure.
it's not a problem. I can tell good guys from bad
You
guys.
could do that in elephant grass, but then a triple canopy
And you
gets
can't
a little,
do that.
Yeah.
No, that's why I need you to shoot a flare up.
Yeah.
And then I got to use a steeper angle with rockets, right? Because
Sure.
they're going to ricochet, and then I got to shoot away from you. So if we're in elephant grass, and we've got guys, they'll try to get tight to you. But if I can do that, and they start running, I can work it out to where I can start using my 40, right?
Right.
Explodes 40, like an M79.
40 Mike.
It's like an M79 plus, right? It's a little
Yeah.
bit bigger. If I can do that, then I can bring SPADs in with their CBU 25s. And it really kind of pisses Cubby off because Cubby wants to run everything. But Cubby doesn't know what I know and how to employ what I've got. You know what I mean? He's
Yeah.
good at high-speed guys, but not that. So if I get to the point I can start using my 40, I can start putting CBU 25s on the ground. And if the SPADs are there, I can start working them in. And so by late 69, we would start breaking the SPADs up. Put a SPAD in a Cobra, in a section, okay? Because he's got to crop dust with a CBU 25. They poop out the back, right? It's those big, long, 9-foot
sure.
long tubes.
Like
Well, the charge is
canister.
on the front, and they shoot these things out the back. Well, they've got to be at about 160 knots at 100 feet, 200 feet, for these things to have an effective pattern.
Right.
What's the effective range of an RPG? You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
He's hanging his butt out. He is very, very, very exposed. So while he's doing that, I'm over you. I can fly over the team because I can shoot away. and cover him while he's making his pass. Now, when he's done, he's in the vertical. He's gone. I can't stay with him, but I can stay low with him till he comes in on his next run, and two's doing the same thing. And we can keep doing that till we can get the situation nullified enough to where either you can continue your mission, or if you need to come out, we can get the slicks out here and let's bring you home.
And so from your personal, well, first of all, when did you finally get your COBRA training? So you became a COBRA jockey, and during that time, you were running missions for the 101st and SOG, flying C models.
Yeah, well, yeah, till the Charlies went away, and we got COBRAs. So by the end of the summer, we had all COBRAs.
Summer of 69.
69, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't go to school till October, November. I was the last guy to go.
So, and for me, I'm just curious, going from a C model to fly it effectively,
Right.
to fly a COBRA, what's the difference? The
Well,
COBRA's faster, slicker,
it's faster.
and there's no sides guns to support you.
No, but your speed is life at this point, okay?
Well, explain what that means.
So, well, if the faster you go, the harder it is, hopefully, for somebody to shoot you. But then
Right.
you've got to learn. In the Charlie model, we had tactics because we had door guns, and in the COBRA, we changed that. So in the Charlie model, it's a big old fat helicopter, just a Huey.
Well,
so
see, that's a critical part of why I find this story interesting,
Right.
because when you're coming in with the Charlie models, what kind of tactics would you use? Like one, two behind each other, or lower, or
no. The rocket is your primary weapon.
Right.
So the effective range of that doesn't change.
which is the 2.75.
2.75. So if you need a lot of enfilade, you shoot a low angle. If you need not so much, you get a steeper angle, and then they're tighter, right?
Sure.
So none of that changes. It's just a matter of how you employ it. So in a Charlie model, you had to turn so you didn't overfly the target, so somebody shoot up at this big fat thing that's 10 feet wide. And, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But in the COBRA, because it's only 3 feet wide, overflying the target's not that big of a deal. Because you've got speed, you may be doing 140, 160, 170 by that time. Just get it low and keep going. You're less exposed that way.
Sure.
So that way, some of the tactics changed. Again, I'm working Dick, put him in on a target, and there's NVA in the target laying on their back with their AKs vertical. So as soon as the slick comes in, blows the elephant grass out, there's bad guys. And I'm thinking, this ain't going to happen again. So, I mean, you don't need to get shot in a helicopter trying to get to the target.
Right.
That's stupid. So the next time we did this,
I
slicks.
mean, you just turned around, came back, and did it again.
At that point, you're not landing there.
Right.
Okay, that game's over. You're going home.
You're compromised.
We're going to find another LZ.
If you're inserting a team, you're compromised.
We'll do that tomorrow. Yeah. Or later in the afternoon. So when we come back out there to do this again, I go in the LZ first. Okay. Now in a COBRA or any helicopter, you can come in fast. We do it's called a quick stop. So you just stand that thing on its tail, and as it starts to settle, of course I know I'm leaving because I'm pulling pitch and I'm putting power in the airplane, but I want the rotor wash to blow the elephant grass back to see if anybody's there. And if there's people in the LZ, I'm leaving. 2 is behind me with flechettes. Group therapy. We're going to get them all.
Yeah.
Okay. And and we're going home. You're in the slick. You don't get near that.
Right.
I don't want you or anybody else getting hurt because of something like that. So once I saw that was a tactic being used by the NVA, we're not doing that anymore. Okay? And working with a 101, I'd shoot the target first with flechettes to get rid of that, or maybe booby traps.
Sure.
So when the slicks land, I don't have to worry about any MEDs going, not an IED, but MEDs, right? A military explosive device.
Right.
Something set up, claymores. Well, you don't have that stuff going off, right? So that when you get off the airplane, you don't have to worry about any of that stuff happening or bad guys sitting there looking at you. Because we pretty well saturated. I don't do that for you because that lets they make a lot of noise.
Yeah, of course, with the 101st, those insertions, you didn't have to try to be as clandestine as possible.
We were not clandestine at all.
Never. And even with the SOG missions, they tried to insert with minimal time of helicopters on the LZ.
Sure. And then land 2 or 3 other places sometimes.
Right. Over the false inserts.
Throw a Nightingale out, Sometimes you guys would get out with the nightingale. Once they got used to it, and they said, "That's a nightingale. I'm not going to go there." I mean, you change your tactics.
And explain what the nightingale is.
Well, you can explain that better than I can, but it's
Okay.
a firefight simulator, right?
Yes, it is.
It looks like a doormat, but it's got
It
cherry
is.
bombs and M80s on it. It's got a little fuse sticks up there with time on it, and you break it, it's phosphorus, and it goes off on a time
It sounds
delay.
like a firefight.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
So do you throw that in one of the
But
LZs?
that's one of the diversionary tactics
that we
so
used,
that-
right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
effectively.
Yes, but it get to the point that sometimes, I mean, I've seen teams get out with a nightingale. You know,
Is that right?
Put on a 10-minute delay, leave the nightingale, and you boogie off the target, go do your button hooks or cloverleaf, whatever you're going to do.
Right.
Sit there and wait, let that thing work, and while everybody's distracted, you guys can DD Mao. You know, get down the trail and go where you need to go. That's your business.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody's figured that out.
I never tried that one, by the way.
I've
but
seen it. I've seen it happen. So,
That's why you're here.
well, maybe.
Yeah.
But those guys lived. I didn't have to worry about that. So, but it's just different tactics. You guys tried
Yeah.
different things, different ways. I mean, Gary Robb went in by air. That didn't work. So they tried something else. I mean, so it just,
Indeed.
you guys had different ways of doing things.
So, but getting back to your story,
Right,
you're finally get your training to fly a Cobra,
right.
and then how's that go for you? You're down in the back seat. You got your you got your gunner up front.
Right, new guys. You're training.
Yeah.
So when you get somebody new in a unit, they sit in the front seat. They've got to learn. They have to learn to navigate. That's the main thing. How to get around, because we don't have any kind of magic beacons or any. I mean, this is all. There's a hill. There's a river. There's a road. I need to go this way, kind of thing.
Right. Sure.
So you need to know where things are. You need to know how to get there, and then you need to know how to talk on the radio. Once you figure that out, I mean, it usually takes a couple of months. And so if we're up at MLT, and we got 3 teams up there, let's say,
Right.
and they're in quarantine, we got to feed those guys. So we got to go find some meat. All right? Well, that's where I take my front seat guy and put him in the back seat. That's where he starts learning to fly, is on
Okay.
those kinds of missions.
Yeah.
Rather than wasting gas, because we're going to cover the hunting party
Right.
in case they run into a bad guy hunting party, right? And so, and we've done that a lot, because you got to feed those guys.
And what did you bring back to feed the guys?
Well, if we went down to the Balong, we brought back deer, and if we went out to Quezon, we'd bring back pigs. And once in a while, we'd bring back a peacock.
The ARA meat delivery system.
Well, it worked. It worked. Yeah. Well, the slicks would go get it, you know.
Of course.
So we're just covering them while
You
they're.
just did the hard part.
Right.
Track it down, kill it,
Yeah.
and they'd eat it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I hadn't heard that before.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We do that. We do that a lot.
So by now, in early '70, you're at the final part of your tour duty.
I still got a year. I didn't leave till May of '71.
So what? Because you went there in '68.
I didn't get in country till '69, March of '69.
I'm sorry, March '69,
Right.
and then '70.
I did 2 12-month extensions or 6-month extensions.
That's what I'm asking about. Very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I did 2 extensions,
Yeah.
and
And Rick, why did you do 2 months extensions?
because I'm working for you.
All right.
I had a good job. See, if I'm on this side of the black line, I've got all these rules. Can't do
Right.
this, you can't do that. You got to do this, you got to do that. When I cross the black line, I don't have any rules.
I mean, you're going across the fence.
Yeah,
No kidding.
yeah. I mean, my standard statement: they give me the most son of a bitchin' looking helicopter in the world to fly.
Right.
They give me all the ordnance I can shoot, all the gas I can burn. They're not accountable to anybody.
Right.
And they give me 3 countries to go shoot it in. Okay.
Sure.
So we didn't go to North Vietnam a lot, but we did occasionally.
Occasionally,
We had a
yeah.
couple of missions up there. We spent a lot of time.
Except for down pilots mostly.
No. There was there was a fire base up on the DMZ called Fuller, and Fuller was targeted by 6 mortars, 120 millimeter mortars, and they were under siege. And it's it's on a hilltop, and there was a real long set of stairs, cardiac arrest set of stairs to get up there. And if anybody moved, they would start shooting mortars. And you couldn't leave. So they could not get resupplied. If a Huey got anywhere near it, they'd just start shooting the place. So there was no food, no water, no comm batteries, nothing. And so they put a team on the ground in North Vietnam to go find those mortars.
No kidding.
And they did. And the debrief was really good because they had yards with them. And so while they're loading the mortars.
We're talking about money yards.
Yeah. So while they're loading these mortars and it's steel on steel and making that eerie, screechy sound.
Yeah.
Well, they think it's phantoms and something going to come through the bushes and eat them, because they got all this superstition. And they're scared. I mean, they're just literally scared. And so the Americans on the team, they dropped their rucks and said, look, just stay here. So they went through the bushes to find these guys. And they're actually, the mortars were inside bunkers. And they're on top of the bunkers loading the tubes. They're trigger fired.
Right.
And so once they figured out where they were, they got a good grid. They're calling Moonbeam. And Moonbeam says, run north now. We're diverting buffs, arc lights. We're going to take it out shortly. Run hard north. This is 3 o'clock in the morning. I get a call from Charlie.
Really? 3 a.m. in the morning.
We need you to cover these guys while they're running north. Because they're running up toward Dongoi and
Right.
Vin, which is a MiG base. They're not going to go that far, but they're running that way. So I go up there to cover these guys while they're running north, while the arc light's coming through.
Wow.
And it's dark outside. So, which is okay. I don't care. So you just go up there, you make radio contact. If they got time to talk, fine. Just say, hey, I'm here. They know I'm there. Cobras make
Right.
noise.
Sure.
They know I'm there.
Yeah.
That's all. But they need to know that it's me and not an MI4 that's going to shoot them. And you guys had problems with that at times,
Right.
with MI4 shooting at you. So
Not me, but other teams.
other
did.
teams have.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, because guys are wanting to take red eyes, and they wouldn't give them red eyes to take. So they would take laws to shoot at these things. It's like, that ain't going to work.
Really?
I've seen it, man. I've seen it.
Is that right?
Guys carrying laws on it. Yeah. Because they would come out in an AN2 to do the recon, and the
Right.
MI4s would show up and shoot them from the air just like we would do.
Sure.
And I don't know how many, I got called several times to go shoot those guys. Well, by the time you get there, it's 45 minutes out there. They're gone.
Sure.
So that's not going to work. But guys they're getting shot at. I don't blame them. Shoot back. That's why they wanted heat seekers. They wouldn't give them to them because they're afraid they would get captured and then they would lose that technology.
Oh my God.
So, that was the mentality. That's what
Yeah.
we were told. I don't know what the real mentality,
Sure.
but anyway. But they were wanting red eyes. I don't know if the Stinger was out yet, but they had red eyes at that.
So your first tour of duty, you extend. Is that like a memorable moment for you? Where you extend for 6 months?
Well, my thought process, if I come back here, what am I going to do?
Right.
Okay? I'm either going to go to Walters and teach, or I'm going to end up at Bragg or one of these places just doing...
Boring. Rules.
And
not enough ammo, not enough gas to play with.
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Working with you guys.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing. I know how to do it. Why bring somebody else in that may not know that much and just put a gap in the system?
So during your first tour there, when you come into contact with SOG teams on the ground across the fence,
Right.
how did that hit you as a pilot, as a gunner? The difference
Well,
in the missions?
I already had an uncle that had done that, so I'd heard some of these stories.
Oh, is that right? You had an uncle?
I sent you that text. My Uncle
Right.
Roy was over there in 57, his first tour.
Wow.
So, because I told you I saw a license plate that said SOG 61. Was there a SOG 61? I don't know, but that was what was on the license plate. But my Uncle Roy did his first tour in 57. He was TDY out of Bragg. So, and he wouldn't say a lot, but I knew where he was and what he was doing.
Sure.
So when I meet up with you guys, it's like, this is really cool. I can kind of relate to this because that's what he was doing.
And did you have to sign NDAs also?
Oh, yeah. Don't say anything. We're going to kill you. It's like, okay.
Right, yeah.
Like, there's not a whole NVA army out there trying to kill me anyway. I mean,
We'll send the fan belt inspectors after you.
that's fine. Whatever the game is, we're not going to say anything. You know who we're going to say it to? You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. This is fine.
Some of us had our mail inspected by the fan belt inspectors. That's why I asked.
Yeah. I don't think we had that. It wasn't that intense where we were.
But anyways, I'm trying to get a sense from you, the difference of flying and supporting the 101st in country mostly. And then
Always
going
in
across the
country.
fence.
Two totally different missions. And that's kind of what I'm getting at. So if I'm in country, I've got all these rules I've got to go by, and they would change
You went across your black line.
periodically.
And the black line even moves sometimes.
Yes, yes. So it got down late to where you couldn't shoot somebody unless you got shot at first. Really?
Yeah, right.
Okay, fine, whatever. So that's gamesmanship.
Sure.
And depending on where you are and what's going on, and thank God we didn't have cell phone cameras and all that stuff in that day. So
Right.
there wasn't a whole lot to be seen that you couldn't deny. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So that wasn't that much of a problem. If it was somebody I knew, especially the company commanders from the 2nd 506th, Gabe Ellis and Charlie Hawkins, those guys, when you work with them, you call them on the radio, you know who they are.
Sure.
They know who you are.
And then you also had, before every mission, you had a briefing that would be usually at the launch site.
Yes.
Or back at the...
You guys got briefed, and at the end of your brief, they would bring us in to brief the mission.
Well, see, that's different because that's a year later time. During the early days, we all briefed together. The 1-0 would be there with the Covey and any of the aerial support.
Okay. Well,
no A1s, but the
team would brief.
helicopters.
The team would
Right.
brief whatever your specialties were that they didn't want us to know, which is fine. So the team would brief. This is with Jerry Stratton.
Okay.
They would brief, and then when your briefing was done, they would bring us in. How are we going to do this? And we really got into a tiff with the Cubbies because the Cubbies wanted to run everything. And that's fine. I don't need you. I do this every day anyway. You know what I'm saying?
So you had some issues with Covey pilots.
A lot.
No kidding.
Yeah.
See, that's the first I've ever heard of that.
Oh my God. It drive me nuts.
And why?
Because they want to run, their job is to run all the TAC air.
Sure.
What's my job? Close air support.
Right.
What are you going to tell me? You're in the way. You know what I mean? Go back up to 3,000 feet in orbit, you know?
Yeah.
Take Satan Blister with you, whoever's in the airplane. So I do this every day. I know what I'm doing. I get you guys on the ground, right?
So you would talk directly to the team on the ground?
No. Not unless you get into contact. Yeah, we're going to talk.
Right.
Okay, in the meantime, go hide.
Sure.
You go do what you do, okay? You're going to run, stop, button hook, cloverleaf, whatever you do. I don't care.
Right.
You do whatever works for you, and it worked, okay?
Yeah.
And guys have different ways of doing it. And you know from the LZ and which way you need to go and how you're going to do all of that. All I'm waiting for is an all clear.
You wait for a team, okay, and then you leave and wait wait till you need them.
If I don't, then I get excited. Okay,
Right.
That starts bothering me. And I had that happen in 71, early 71. Put a team on the ground. We're waiting. Nothing happens. Cubby ain't saying nothing. Wasn't Blister. Blister had gone. Satan had gone. Or somebody else was riding at that time. I don't know who it was. And I said, look, this isn't good. And so I did this on VHF so they could hear me. But I talked to two. I said, look, 100 meters in, one pass, get rid of all your flechettes. Just shoot. I don't care. Just shoot. Get rid of everything. And by the time two come off, the team had time to break contact enough to get on the radio, and you could hear the firefight going on. You could hear the RPDs. You could hear all this stuff. He said, thank God. Keep it up. Prairie fire. That's all we heard.
Didn't even have time to initially declare a prayer.
That's all he could say.
No kidding.
But I initiated
Sure.
that because I knew it's been too long. Okay?
Yeah.
If he ain't got time to talk, he's changing magazines. Okay? It's that simple. I know that.
Sure.
Okay? So I waited longer than I really wanted to. Cubby didn't say anything. It's like, we're shooting. Okay? Just start shooting. Go in 100 meters in, get rid of all your flechettes. And as soon as he said that, we're back in. I said, bring it in a little tighter and just start using hard rockets, regular rockets.
Sure.
And just start shooting. And then finally they were able to back up. We could break contact enough that they could get back to the tree line. And we could, in the slicks, when the slicks came, they ran and got in the slicks. And we went home.
No kidding.
Nobody got hurt, thank God.
Is that right?
So
That's amazing. I never heard that.
I never lost anybody in my 2 years. I never lost a helicopter. I never lost a person.
Really?
Ever.
What was one of the key reasons for that? Because of the tactics?
Grace of God. I don't know.
That too.
I don't know, John. I don't know.
Well, then you also participated in Operation Lamson.
I did.
talk a little bit about what it was, the intent, and then what you all had to do, because what was the total count of helicopters shot down?
Oh, God, it was incredible. The problems, SOG didn't have dedicated air, and we didn't have that till after the thing in the desert. We should have had dedicated air. B-52 had dedicated air, and CCS had dedicated air. But CCC and CCN did not.
Right.
And we needed that as much as anybody. And that's part of the problem is that second platoon
There's always an ongoing battle.
Well, but some guys put you in, and then I'm going to bring a team out, and I had this argument with Jerry. I said, where'd this team come from? We didn't put them in. He said, you don't need to know that. Where do I go? Tell me what I need to know. And he said, you need to go there and bring this team out. It's like, okay, fine, I can do that. So I wish there was dedicated air. There is today. 160th, thank God.
Oh, sure.
These guys are awesome.
They're amazing.
The Lamson, the beauty of Lamson.
Well, first of all, explain what it was, the time frame.
Lamson was their name for an operation.
Right.
And 719 was just the number of it, but it was the
intent was to cut the Ho Chi Minh Trail.
Yes, west of Khe Sanh.
Right.
Suicide.
And what year?
This is 71.
Right.
Early 71.
Because by that time, the NVA had come down with much heavier weapons, anti-aircraft.
If they'd have done it in 69, when China and Russia was having their little problem on the Mongolian border, it would have been easy because there was nothing out there.
Or 67 when it should have been done.
So in 69, they had time to build all this stuff up. They knew it was coming.
Well, because President Johnson had the bombing pause in November, December of 68. The second that got announced, they started coming south with more of the anti-aircraft.
Yeah, right.
The heavy stuff.
So I'm in my AO. It's like, they're going here. It's like, okay, so what? I mean, I can navigate better over there than I can in country because I know where I'm at. Well, they put on all these LZs. Well, I had to know where they were. Okay, Lolo and 31, 31 and all this stuff. Okay, fine. Once I got those marked on a map and I knew where they were, and I thought, what idiot put that there?
Oh, is that right?
Oh, my God. I mean, a smart person wouldn't put an LZ there. You're crazy.
Because you're familiar with the AO.
I've been flying over there for 2 years.
Yeah.
Give me a break. Yeah. And so anyway, when all of that started, they brought assets up from all over the country. So within a 24-hour period, over 50% of the aviation assets in South Vietnam were in the northern two provinces. Okay, Tra Tien Province and Quang Tri Province.
Right.
And they just had these guys parked all over the place. And so you had people coming in to go fly these missions that were good at where they were, but had no concept of what they were getting into.
Sure.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, they'd never been on the Ho Chi Minh Trail up there.
When I listen to these guys talk at VHP, the Vietnam Helicopter Pilot Reunions, their biggest threat is a 50 caliber machine gun. I think I saw 2 in 2 years. I never gave a 50 a second thought. I didn't care about 50s.
Right.
They were not something I was concerned with. They just weren't.
Again, this is part of the advancement of the tactics by the enemy against you all, too.
Yeah. Now, 23s and 37s get my attention.
And the 57s.
Okay? And so I never had to deal with the 57, but I dealt with a lot of 37s. They're an issue. And you tell somebody that flew down in 2 Corps, and they're just like, what's that?
Right.
They don't know. Okay, so we've got all these helicopters coming in that are getting thrown into this arena with no knowledge.
No.
And they should have been briefed. And then again, I was told, you're not briefing anybody. Well, first of all, you can't. If you try and tell somebody what's out there, some wise-ass CW2 is going to say, well, how the hell do you know? You can't tell them.
No kidding.
Well, because I've signed all the documents.
Sure.
I've been flying there for 2 years. Like, no, you can't say that. See? So they're going out there blind.
Oh, my God.
And the Army flies very, very offensive formations, not defensive formations. It's because they fly in trail.
Right.
Right? And being a fighter pilot, flying fixed-wing fighters later, I know all this stuff. And so you don't ever fly in trail.
Right.
Ever. If you can, unless you're really trolling for bad guys.
Sure.
And so they're flying at 3,000 feet, 80 knots, taking these guys to an LZ. And so what happens, you know? Number 1 does okay. Number 2, maybe he lives, maybe he doesn't. 3 and 4 and 5, they don't have a prayer. They're all going to die.
Yeah.
Because the 37s have got them dialed in.
Wow.
Or the 23s. And then it's ugly. But they're good soldiers. They're doing what they're told to do. They're going to do this. And the tactics were crazy. They brought in a guy that was not familiar with that AO, not familiar with the defenses, to run this thing because he had to get his ticket punched apparently.
Of course.
And so the whole thing was a disaster.
The term clusterfuck comes to mind.
Thank you.
Yes.
It could have been better organized, in my opinion, if somebody that was from.
And again, where's the intel? Like your common sense, what you picked up from flying over that area for 2 years. Why isn't there something in some folder somewhere that says, "Hey, this is really fucked up," and what this plan is here?
All I could do
and
is voice.
lose all those. How many? In the end, there's over 50 helicopters plus.
Probably more than that.
God.
Yeah. Some of these guys got shot down. It was funny. You go out there to shoot, and there's an American voice, like at LZ-31. It's like, where'd you come from? Says, I'm a crew chief off of Huey. Everybody's dead but me, and I'm here.
No kidding.
Waiting to get out. So all he's doing is directing air.
Yeah.
And trying to avoid the tanks. Well, they come in and got him picked up, and by the time they could get somewhere else, they crashed again, and he's now at LZ-30. And so, or Lolo, whatever it was. Anyway, this guy ended up getting shot down like 3 times, and he ends up on the radio, directed air for almost a week. There was another guy on one of these LZs that was an Asian, but he spoke good English, and he knew all the slang.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, where are you from? He says, I'm with the University of Minnesota. What are you doing there? He says, well, it doesn't matter. I'm here.
Yeah.
I need ordnance. It's like, yes, you do. So
He was with the Arvins.
He was an Arvin.
No kidding.
Yeah. The radio operator.
Wow.
So it was good that we had somebody that could speak English.
Oh, yeah.
That knew the slang. He wasn't afraid, but he just had a pretty heavy accent, but you could understand what he was saying.
Yeah.
So that whole thing and we changed from day to day, and you couldn't keep up. I mean, what they were trying to do is fine. They would just say, we've got targets. Go shoot. Go talk to this guy. Go talk to that guy. Go talk to somebody, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, fine.
Sure.
I can do that. And that's the way it happened. And the Cav, like I was telling you earlier, the Cav, Colonel Malali did no little birds and no Charlie models across the fence at that time. So he slicked out a Cobra. That was the scout bird.
Right.
Because he could have speed, and they got low and they stayed fast, and whatever they're looking for. Okay, they went into a sector looking for something, whether it's artillery, AAA, tanks.
And this is all during Lamson?
All during Lamson.
Okay.
He's got 2 Cobras behind him with rockets, and then he's got a Cobra with a 20 millimeter on the left wing as a stinger, because that's got some range.
Right.
It doesn't have a lot of bang, but if it hits something, it's going to explode. But it's a pretty accurate gun. So that's the way they operated in Laos. And he ended up with 8 troops under him, if I remember right, 8 troops.
And how big is a troop?
Well, a troop would be a company.
Okay.
So he normally had 3 companies, A, B, and C company, 2nd, 17th Cav, and he ended up with 8 total that guys had come up from 2 Corps and 3 Corps. And they all got together. They merged, if you will. Some of the units didn't. We had another ARA battery, B battery, come up from the 1st Cav, and then they put a platoon in each of our batteries, and so we ended up with 4 platoons. Gave us 16 helicopters.
Wow.
And all those guys were good. They were all they were good pilots, and they were good tacticians. Had no issues with any of those guys. They were awesome. So that just gave us more firepower, which was good.
And so then Lamson, after that, how much more time did you have till your tour of duty ended? Your second extension?
I tell you the kicker, I tried to extend a 3rd time.
Really?
And Roger Teeter was a 1-0. I have no idea what team he was on. They didn't want us to know that, and he didn't tell me, and it didn't matter, but he was a 1-0. And I'd been working with him I'd see him off and on for maybe 4 months, 5 months. And he'd been asking me probably since February to go on a mission with him as a 1-2. I never had a team leader ask me that. Roger asked me all the time. He just pestered me and pestered me and pestered me. He said, I want you to go on a mission.
Really?
He said, you'll be awesome as a 1-2. He said, I'd rather have you than any indige any day of the week. And I said, Roger, I don't have any gear. I don't have anything. I said, I got a car 15. That's all I got. And he said, we'll take care of that. Don't worry about it. So I was down to the point I really, really, really wanted to do that.
Right.
And my commanding officer got wind of it, and he just said, you're really, really, really screwed up. He said, no normal person would do that. I said, you don't know the normal people I work with every day because you're not read in, you don't come up here, you're a REMF, but I couldn't tell him that. But he refused to fly these missions. So, and he didn't really know what we did. He kind of had an idea that we'd take helicopters and go away, and sometimes we'd come home, sometimes we wouldn't. We'd spend the night because something's going on.
Sure.
And he just said, you're not going to be able to be rehabilitated back into society. You need to go home. It's like, are you Sigmund Freud? I mean, what's going on? So he wouldn't let me extend. And he sent me home. He said, and then Roger got killed with Jim Smith doing the recon for that mission.
No.
They were doing the LZ recon. He was in a Covey, an OV-10, and they got hit with 37 on the way home. And that's got ejection seats. So if Roger could have gotten out of the thing, he'd have gotten out of it. I mean, he's a parachutist. I mean, he'd have been out of that airplane in a heartbeat. And neither one of them got out. So either the seat was malfunctioned or they were incapacitated.
Right.
So I couldn't have gone on the mission anyway because Roger died. But they sent me home and said, you're crazy. I said, okay, fine. So here I'm a crazy helicopter pilot. They won't let me stay in the war. I'm fairly good at what I do and I enjoy doing what I do. But they said, well, you can't do that anymore. So they sent you home. And they put me in an office. And
where was this?
Homestead Air Force Base, where I grew up.
And what time? Time frame?
May 71.
Okay.
So I had to go to the basic course. I'd taken a commission as an air defense officer, so I went to Fort Bliss to learn all about
how to be an officer,
I guess.
If not a gentleman.
Yeah, none of that. So, and they didn't know what to do with me. Here I am. I'm a captain, and they don't have a clue. They don't have a clue what to do with me. So they put me in the S2 shop. It's like, okay, fine. Nixon's president. He goes to Key Biscayne, Miami, Florida.
Right.
Pretty regularly. Him and his buddy, B.B. Rebozo, right?
Sure.
Are down there in Key Biscayne. My mom lives on Key Biscayne. There's 12 firing batteries in South Florida. There's 8 Hawk batteries and 4 Herc batteries to guard him.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
So when he would come down, we would get a 4-hour notice to go to cock pistol, DEFCON 2.
Right.
Okay, which is kind of like shoot first, ask questions later. I mean, that's basically what DEFCON
Sure.
2 is. We had rules, but they were pretty lax. It's like, don't be afraid to shoot. You start shooting Hawks at somebody, they're going to die. And Hawks don't miss. So you had to have all your weapons ready, and which is a radar, because that's the primary weapon on that. I mean, the missile just sits there. It has to have a radar to work. And so because of my contacts from living down there, the Marines would come down to carry him from Homestead to the marina at Key Biscayne. Well, my mom had a boat in the marina at Key Biscayne. So she got friendly with the Marines, and I knew some of the girlfriends that these guys had from high school. So I'm getting double intel. See? So we would get a 4-hour notice when Nixon's coming down. The Marines had a schedule for a month. So once I got the schedule, I could go to the colonel and say, look, let's see if this works. But you got a week to get all your 8 radars up. We're going to go to cock pistol Friday afternoon at 2 o'clock. I'm telling him this on a Monday. Get your stuff together, get all your maintenance done, so we'll be ready. He never missed in the next year and a half. I think he made full colonel out of that. He never had a down, because it worked. We knew the schedule that much in advance, and I could tell him. He'd say, when are we going to cock pistols? Like, I think we're calling maybe Thursday next week, probably about 4 in the afternoon. I said, okay, fine, thank you.
You never hear about that side of the Presidential Protection Unit. doing that, going to that far, have hawks.
But I learned all of that.
Yeah.
So it worked out. But I got bored, and then they sent me to the Herc Battalion as the S1. It's like, this is stupid.
Oh, my God.
And then Colonel Hossinger come down from DA, and he said, you're going to go to Germany, and you're going to do this and this and this and this. And it's like, you're a nice guy, Colonel, but you're fired. I quit. I can't do this. I'm out of here. So I got out of the Army, went back to school.
Right.
Just like you did.
Yeah.
And it was hard. It was hard. It really was. And but I didn't need an education. I needed a degree.
Sure.
And I went southeastern Oklahoma State, up here in Durant, Oklahoma, just north of here. They had an aviation program. And so I already knew all of that. I just had to get the courses from the Oklahoma Board of Regents, right? The biologies and whatever else you got to take, so English courses, math courses. And my counselor was a WASP, Women's Army Service Pilot from World War II. She was a sweetheart. And she got me through all of this. And she just said, this is, you can do this. So I graduated. Because I'd been commissioned in the Army, I could not join the Air Force. I got some stupid rule.
Really?
So I went to the Marine Corps, and he said, well, all you got to do is go to the basic course. I said, I've already been to a basic course. I don't need to go to another. He said, well, I want to fly. I said, well, all we're going to guarantee is the basic course. That's stupid. So I was in the Guard in Oklahoma flying Hueys. Matter of fact, I got my same Charlie model back that I took in country, 159, same exact helicopter. Some had a big motor in it now. Had to put an L-13 in it, made a Mike model out of it. But there was another guy there trying to go in the Navy just like I did. And so we were kind of bouncing things off. And there was a special program that my guys in Dallas here wouldn't tell me about. So when I walked in the door and I said, hey, look, you guys are holding out on me. Here's the deal. And they said, well, since you know about it, we'll put you in the program.
Really?
So like 3 weeks later, I'm in Pensacola. So
to fly what?
Well, I didn't know. I just assumed join the Navy, you're a helicopter pilot, you got a couple of combat tours behind you, they'll just put you in a helicopter. The Navy's not that smart. So I had to go to OCS again.
No.
And which was really sort of okay. The senior DI had been a platoon sergeant in Quang Tree. I think I shot for him, to be honest with you. They got hit in an ambush late in the afternoon. His legs got messed up. He wasn't going to live through the night. The Marines wouldn't come get him. And the Army had sent a couple of assault companies up there to support them. So the firefight's going on. Here comes a Huey, lands in the middle of the LZ, picks up gunny Nestor. Stuff's going off, everywhere. And the firefights hadn't slowed down. Took him 95th evac, and he got evac'd. So he walks with a cane. He couldn't pass a PFT if he had to, physical fitness test.
Right.
He couldn't run to get out of the rain at the PX. You know what I mean? They found him a job to retire. And he was the senior DI at OCS at Navy Pensacola.
No.
Terrific guy. So you walk in the door as an Army helicopter pilot that saved his life, right? It's payback time.
Sure.
So he took care of us. He was really, really good.
Wow.
So when I finished, I had to go out to Softly to fly. And so if you remember, the Eagle Claws flew with us for a while.
Sure.
HML 367, Scarface.
Right.
But it was Eagle Claw with us.
Is that right?
It was their call sign at CCN.
Sure.
So I go check in out there. And his Navy E8 senior chief. The senior chiefs are all related to Satan. And he said Freeman, last name. So I got a Freeman at VT5. He's a Marine. He hates squids. I'm thinking, why would you do this? Well, I learned E8s can't help themselves. Navy senior chiefs are just that way. So it's okay, fine. So I go over to VT5 and I'm waiting on this guy and he lands and giving this guy a bash and a grief and he waddles off. And I went up to him, reported in. I said, I'm your next charge. And he starts in on, I said, wait a minute, time out. Would you fly? And he said, all real Marines fly helicopters. I said, cool, what squadron? And he said, I flew gunships. I was in HML 367. It's like, no shit. So I said, Scarface.
Yeah.
And I started at the top, Colonel, Major, right down the rocket list. And he said, how could you possibly know that? And I said, I flew with them when the tough guys were at Fubai before the pussies moved to Da Nang. When did you fly with them? I'm an E5, okay? He's first lieutenant. It was funny. He says, what do you want, jet grades? And I said, that would really be nice. He said,
no kidding.
He said, you smell bad, get out of here. So, which was perfect.
Yeah.
Right? It's like calling you an asshole. I mean, you only say that to your friends.
Sure.
Right? So it was good. So I had to do 17 rides at Softly, and I got jet grades. So fine with me.
Sure.
So they let me, they sent me to Navy Kingsville to go fly jets. So I ended up at Miramar flying Phantoms.
No kidding.
So here I am, a crazy helicopter pilot. I'm too crazy to be in Vietnam, too crazy to work for SOG, but they let me fly Phantoms off the front end of an aircraft carrier. And I ended up on 8 of them. So
8 carriers? My God. What was your first carrier landing like?
Well, that was on the lax. That was training. Yeah, that was a rip. That was a rip.
I can't imagine.
Yeah. It's just like landing in an LZ. I mean, everybody said, look how small it is. It's like, have you ever landed in an LZ? This ain't that bad.
Yeah, but when you come in, you're catching up to the aircraft carrier. You're going at what, 120 knots?
Maybe a little more. About 144 in a Phantom.
No kidding.
Yeah. 143 touchdown speed.
Yeah.
Phantom. Yeah.
That's a little bit more speed than landing a helicopter on an LZ.
Yeah, but it's the same mentality. It's just closure rate's a little faster.
Very good. Okay.
Same mentality.
Yeah, closure rate is definitely a lot faster.
Same idea. Yeah. So it was all good. I enjoyed that. The Navy. There was a lot of combat vets. Okay.
Sure.
Cunningham's wingman was there. The Navy ace.
Right.
His wingman, Brian Grant, was my first lead that I flew wing on. So these guys have got a lot of time over the north, but they haven't done anything. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, they bang off the boat and they get gas. They go over the north and they do whatever they do, and they come back and, Thursday night steak night on the boat. Okay, fine. I said, you guys live kind of a pristine life, but you're out of touch.
You told them that.
Yeah. I said, you've never been mortared. You've never been shot at with artillery. You've never been bitten by mosquitoes. You don't get rained on. I said, you don't hear automatic weapons fire. You can tell an RPD from an M60 right now if you had to.
Right.
What do you do? You live on a boat. It's air conditioned, clean sheets, hot showers, hot meals. You take a shower every day. I mean, they could write Holiday Inn Express on the side of this thing. I lived at Currahee for 4 months, south of Hamburger Hill.
Right.
In the Oshawa Valley. If I got a shower once a week, I felt pretty fortunate. You just
Certainly.
don't have that opportunity, and you're getting shot at. You're getting bitten by mosquitoes, and
So how did your fellow aviators react to that?
They didn't have a clue. None of these guys, they could not relate. And that's the hard part, Brockhausen said it in his book, and I say it too, and maybe I heard it from him, but he says, if I'm not getting rained on, I'm not getting bit by mosquitoes, and I'm not getting shot at, it's a good day.
Indeed.
And I agree with that.
Yeah.
If I get a hot meal and a hot shower, it's a great day.
So how long did you fly F-4s?
Till 86.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And where were you flying? You just doing different carrier duty?
Well, active duty, and I got out of that because that got me an opportunity to get on with an airline, and I was flying in the reserves at Navy Dallas. And till all that went away, and then I got to do something. So I went back in the Oklahoma Guard where I was when I was in college.
Right.
At that time, they were the 4th Battalion to the 160th. They were the reserve battalion.
No kidding.
So I'm walking right back in the door again.
And the 160th Night Stalkers are based at Fort Campbell.
Yes.
And they're the premier helicopter unit in the world today.
We're the reserve battalion.
Wow, no kidding.
I was there from 86 to 90.
So you hung up your Phantom jet and went back to flying choppers?
Hueys, yeah. 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 And there was a guy there from CCS. Actually, it was with Sigma before it was CCS.
Right.
Manny Beck. And so when we first got that mission, right when I rolled in the doors about the time we were getting the mission, and so they gave us, from Special Operations Command, they gave us a mission.
Really?
They said, we're going to base you in eastern Thailand. I'm guessing in KP. We want you to fly east. We're going to give you a target for a POW pickup, and you're going to cover offshore on an LHA. Figure the mission.
Really? What year was this?
86. I said, this isn't hard. So Manny and I got together and we sat down because he's been on the ground, right?
Sure.
But he's now flying for the Oklahoma Police Department. So we sat there and got some maps. And this is kind of my AO, you know? Again, it's like, this is not hard.
Oh, my God.
So we figured all this stuff out, figured out times and, options that we might have. Figured time and route, fuel requirements, how far offshore is the boat, I'm going to figure maybe 60 miles. Figured all this stuff out and submitted it. And we had it back to them in like 2 weeks. And they're like, you did that this fast? It's like, read the report and tell me what you think. That's incredible. It's like, so what's your problem? So whoever the 3-star was, that was our initiation. And we got through that. So I joined them in April and June. I'm in Honduras at Pomarola, working with 7th Group, taking teams into Nicaragua at night.
No kidding. Whoa.
In the Air Force, they wouldn't allow any gunships, Cobra gunships, but they would allow C-130s, Spectre, to fly overhead. Spectre never showed up one night, ever.
No.
Ever. And they got Heinz flying around over there.
Is that right?
Yes. The team we put in, they said they've been on the ground 7 times. The last 4 times they've been shot out by Heinz. And they wanted to go in at 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, it's illegal to fly down there between 6 at night and 6 in the morning. It's a Honduran law. But it's mountainous like Vietnam. Like, why do I care? So when I was talking to the team guy, it was an E8, it was an ops guy. And he said, this is what we want to do. I said, piece of cake. I said, you got nods? And he said, well, yeah. I said, fine. We're going to Hutakopal. We're going to get gas. We're going to fly about 30 miles south. We're going to land, daytime. We'll set up an NDP. When you get ready to roll, you bring in your Claymores and your M60s. We get on the helos. I'll take you into Nicaragua. We're going to drop you off.
Whoa.
I'm going to come back and land till daylight. I'm going to go back to Hutakopal and get gas, and I'm going to wait. He said, where have you been all my life? I said, what do you mean? He said, nobody else has thought about this. I said, how else do you do it? This isn't new. I had a SOG patch in the back of my helmet. I said, look, I've done this for real. I know what you guys are doing. This is not new.
Wow.
I can do this. This is a piece of cake. Not a problem.
No 37 Mike there.
No.
Yeah.
So there was no AAA. No AAA at all. The only thing you had to worry about is Heinz. And that's
No kidding.
That's a worry. He says, if you see one, what are you going to do? And I said, well, the only thing I can do is get above him and put my skids in his tail rotor. It's the only thing I can do. And let him crash.
Yeah.
You can't do anything else in a Huey. You're stuck. You can't outrun him. You can't outfly him. Maybe outfly him if he's not.
They're really that good of an aircraft, huh?
They're fast, yeah.
No kidding.
I talked to a Chinook driver. I flew with at Care Flight here in Dallas, flying EMS. And he flew Chinooks, and they went to Red Flag. And they had Heinz at Red Flag.
What's Red Flag?
It's a big military
Exercise?
operation. At Nellis, north of Nellis, up in the up in the playground.
Mm-hmm.
And I went there in a Phantom, flying in the F4. So I've been to Red Flag, so I know what he's
I
talking
should
about.
always ask you what you're flying then.
Yeah, and he's in a Chinook. Chinooks are fast, and he said if the hind gets behind your 3-9 line, he said you're dead. He'll catch you. Well, if he can catch a Chinook, if he always
Oh, yeah. Forget about it.
You're just a grape. You're just there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was my only threat down there was hind. I never saw hind, thank God. But that's how we worked the teams, and
wow,
I didn't have a problem. So these guys are just like.
So how long was that tour of duty? Having fun?
We were only down there a couple of weeks that time, but they gave us whatever to do.
Sure.
So, you check in down there and they give you this big long brief, 2-3 hours, and you fly around Honduras and they've got routes. It's just like Vietnam, smells the same, looks the same, and color-coded routes, orange route, yellow route, blue, and all this stuff. And then if you get down to the DMZ, they call it buffer zone. Buffer zone 1, buffer zone 2. The war's in buffer zone 2. So they said if you'll never get fragged for mission in the buffer zones, But if something comes up, one of us, the company that's down, says, we'll have to go with you because we're qualified. What the hell does that mean? You know? Okay, fine. So we finished that brief, walk across the street, walk into 7th group. They said they give you the spiel about the buffer zone. Said, yeah, so we're going into buffer zone 2 tomorrow. Here's your maps. All they gave us was white sheets the first time. Says, here's your real maps. Here's our target. Fine.
No kidding.
Piece of cake.
It's going across a fence, a different fence.
It's a river, but it's a lot easier to define.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my God.
So that was real easy. It was real easy. So it worked out really well.
So how long after that, what's next? You stayed in the Guard for all those years?
Till 90. I got my 20-year letter in 90. My wife wanted me to get out. She said, you got kids to worry about now. He says, you don't need to be playing Army anymore. It's like, it really, really, really upset me. So I got out in the middle of September of 90, and the moratorium was the end of September for all the fracas going on in the litter box. So I missed that because they put a moratorium on getting out. You couldn't get out for at least a year.
Was that right?
And I missed it by a week, so I got out. So I let all that slide, and then once I retired from the airlines, I was flying for Care Flight here in town. And
here in town is Dallas?
Dallas, yeah, in Fort Worth. And so we had a crash in June of 10. Helicopter came apart in midair, killed my chief pilot. And anyway, so I got taken off the helicopter and put me on the airplane. I had a King Air. So I flew the King Air for a year, and it was mismanaged, nothing going on. And I had friends in Afghanistan working for L3. And I called Jammer, and he said, get your butt over here. I said, who do I call? And he said, I'll have you a job this afternoon. Call this number after 4.
No.
So I called this number, and the guy answered the phone. I told him who I was. He said, yeah, class starts a week from Monday. It's like, okay, fine, thank you. I mean, it was that. He said, you qualified to King Air. And I said, yeah, I've been flying to King Air. It's not a problem. He said, okay, fine. So I went over to Afghanistan in late 11.
Right.
And off and on till Obama took our guns away from us in 15, and I didn't want to go back.
Took your guns away.
He changed the status of forces agreement. He made it the same as Germany. So we had to go in country as a tourist on a tourist visa, and with that, you're not allowed to have a weapon.
No kidding.
Yeah.
What?
I have to ask him. I don't know. So they took all the guns out. We had gun racks in the airplanes. Okay, and just
in case they needed them.
Well, if you land off site, yeah, and they were M16A4s. They were nice guns. So, and they had 2 big rucksacks in the back. One was full of magazines, and the other one had food and water in it. So, and it working for Java in the wing lockers, they had body bags, and which are nice ground bags. I mean, if somebody gets hurt, got a broken leg, and throw the guy in a body bag, you can pick him up and carry him.
Sure.
Right? It's just a general purpose bag. They're great. So, or if nothing else, because I had my own personal ruck, you take the lighter one and put in that, carry the heavy one, and you can drag and go wherever you need to go.
Indeed.
Still, we never had to deal with that, but if it ever happened, you had the opportunity. But you're flying over the Corngull and the Tora Bora every day. I mean,
no kidding.
That's your target area, and they won't let you have a gun. I mean, if you land off site, you're just you're a pop-up target. I mean, you're nothing. It's crazy. And in Vietnam, you could bring your own guns in country, and it wasn't that hard to get them out. But there, they were really, really
State Department
pissy about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's 2015.
Yeah.
So where are you flying next?
Well, I was just contracting in the Dallas area in a King Air.
Okay.
So, and I've been doing that till I got old enough that I can't get insurance anymore.
Right.
So the only thing I can do is work somewhere else, So there's airlines here in the area that need sim instructors, so I'm trying to do that right now.
Well, very good.
So,
well, it sounds like we're at that point, sir, where any final thoughts or great brain thrust here from all these years of flying choppers and then Phantoms just for good luck?
No, it's just different events that I had to do, in my life or where I happened to be. God put me there. It's like, okay, you're not doing that anymore. You're going to go over here. It's like, okay, fine. And just keep going.
Well, it's really interesting how different the tactics had changed in SOG from the days of the Charlie and, of course, the Bravo models.
Yeah.
until when the Cobras came in, it was really different.
Charlie had more gas. We had more range. It almost had the same range as the Cobra because it carried more fuel. So that was an advantage because I could stay with the King Bees. King Bees had 3 hours of gas. I could carry 3 hours of gas. Huey's only had 2. So that was, if I needed it, I could put it on the airplane. That's what I'm saying. We had to do that out of ammo because of the target area.
And we've had a recent interview with a King Bee pilot. What was it like from your side working with the King Bees?
The hard part with the King Bees was
English.
Language is a problem. I said I never lost a helicopter. I lost a King Bee early because he wouldn't go where we told him to go, and a 37 got him in the engine, and he did a great auto rotation into a sandbar in the Shimon River, and the other King Bees came back, got everybody, and we all went home. Nobody got hurt. It was awesome.
No kidding.
They were good at what they did. You just didn't know what they were going to do next. That was the problem, right?
Yes.
So if it's an insert, I don't care.
Right.
If they get on the ground, you get out, and that's the problem. You all have to go out through one little door. So once you get out, that's fine. And extraction is a little more of an issue because the rotor's so high they can land in the grass where Huey necessarily couldn't because we had to use ladders. But if they were having problems taking fire, that was hard to get a grip on that. You'd have to see it.
Right.
Because sometimes their English wasn't, especially when they get excited, wasn't really good.
Sure.
And even today, I mean, you talk to these guys, see them at the reunions, and you tell them you were a dragonfly, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're a dragonfly!" They want to hug you and everything.
Of course. Yeah.
So
you're their guardian angels.
Yeah.
And there are angels.
Right. And
sure.
I liked working with those guys, and that airplane was pretty reliable and pretty resilient for the.
We liked them better than Huey's.
For the terrain.
That's for sure.
The only problem is it only had one door. If I had a door on both sides, it would make it a lot easier.
That did present some problems.
It did. Yeah. But other than that, I mean, they were fearless, absolutely fearless.
All righty, sir. We're at that point. Well, we want to give our thanks to all the men and women in our armed services who have fought and bled for our country. We also want to thank the Border Patrol, law enforcement, first responders. And again, as always, we thank Jocko Willink for sponsoring our SOG podcast, our interviews, and the production costs. And as always, we thank the men and women who have served our country, the past heroes, men like Rick Freeman who stepped up to the plate, in this case, many years and several decades. We salute that service. We also remember and salute the men and women who were not able to come home, who today are amongst the 1,579 Americans who are still listed as missing in action in Vietnam from the Vietnam